Okay, let's get into it. Today we are doing a deep dive into, well, what I think is one of the most critical parts of any nonprofit, effective governance.
Absolutely. And more specifically, we're looking at the huge range of educational resources that are out there to help board members really succeed.
Right. It's about moving from being, a well-meaning volunteer to a real strategic leader.
It is. And when we talk about governance, we're talking about some serious booties care, loyalty, obedience. These are not simple things. So our mission today is to give you a roadmap.
A roadmap to the knowledge you need.
Exactly, to make sure your board has the philanthropic skills to actually deliver an impact. I mean, continuous training for the board should be a top priority for any nonprofit that's serious about its mission.
And as we go through this roadmap, it's worth pointing out that we are basically charting the offerings of a massive resource hub built just for this.
That's a great point.
So if you want to jump ahead or follow along, you can start learning right now by going straight to Nonprofit.Courses.com. This deep dive is pretty much your guide to everything on that site.
Yeah, from tiny lessons to full-on certifications. And while we're giving you the big overview today, it's important to say that in future deep dives, we're going to tackle specific subjects in a lot more detail.
Oh yeah, things like board fundraising, the nitty-gritty of finance committees, running better meetings.
Advanced governance, all of it. But for today, we're giving you the complete lay of the land.
I think what's so useful here is the variety. You can find a really short, focused lesson for an immediate problem,
Right, like a quick fix for a tricky bylaw question.
Exactly. Or you can find a comprehensive certificate program for, say, a new board member. It just respect your time, which is key. So let's start with the foundation. The core pillars of all this educational content. This is the stuff that really defines operational excellence.
Well, these categories, they really get to the heart of where boards have to excel. The resources are organized into these key themes. First up is board management.
Which is all about success drivers.
Yes, the nuts and bolts of how the board works internally. Then you have board meetings with a focus on leading with purpose.
I like that, turning those monthly meetings from just updates into, actual strategic sessions.
Exactly. And then a huge one, finance committees. They're called the guardians of financial health.
And for good reason. That's often where the biggest legal risks are.
It is. It requires some specialized knowledge, for sure. Then you zoom out a bit to governance as a whole, which is described as crucial to navigating for success.
And what about that relationship between the board and the staff?
That's the last one. The relationship between boards and executive directors, making sure they're leading together, without micromanaging on one side or being too hands-off on the other.
You know what I found really interesting? There's a whole dedicated category for new organizations. Startup boards.
Yeah. Impacting today and tomorrow.
It just shows that governance isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It has to grow with the organization.
It really does.
Okay, so let's pivot to a challenge that I think every board faces at some point. Board recruitment. It's under a section called Crafting Excellence.
A constant struggle.
Yeah, you always need fresh blood and new skills.
Yeah.
But finding and keeping that talent is so hard. So what's in here to help solve that who problem?
Well, it's not just about posting an ad. It's a whole strategy. There are resources that go deep on best practices for recruitment and retention.
So moving beyond just asking your friends and current board members.
Right. Building a truly diverse, skilled board. And sometimes the biggest barrier is internal. It's your own ideas about what a board member should be.
Which is why that lesson, get out of your board box, probably exists.
Exactly. That one's from Pivot Ground, and it's all about dismantling that traditional, often very homogenous profile of a board member.
And instead looking for skills that you actually need now, like cybersecurity or social media, not just connections to money.
Precisely. And for a brand new nonprofit, the advice is even more specific. There's a great little resource from Boss on a Budget, 3 tips to find board members for your new nonprofit.
And what's the core idea there?
It's about leveraging the passion for the mission, especially when you're new and don't have a big reputation to trade on.
But no matter what your strategy is, it all has to start with a job description, right? That's the foundational piece.
It is. It defines everything. And what's interesting is there are multiple resources on just that one document.
So what's the difference?
Well, you've got a short 5-minute lesson from Limily Sikowski. What should a board member job description look like? It's very tactical.
A checklist approach, basically.
Pretty much. Here are the duties, the meeting expectations, the commitments, but then you contrast that with a much deeper 34-minute session.
The first step, to Great Boards, the job description.
Yes, from Dr. Victoria Boyd. And that one frames the job description as a strategic covenant, not just a list. The idea is that the job description should actually change as your strategic plan changes.
That makes so much sense. So you get to choose your depth, tactical list, or strategic covenant.
Which leads us right into board fundraising. This is about ensuring nonprofit sustainability.
And this is where you can really see the difference between a board that's just compliant and one that's, high performing.
Totally. The big problem isn't getting boards to agree they should fundraise, it's getting them to actually do it. Many are just, well, terrified of asking for money.
That fear is definitely real. And I see the content tackles that by focusing on engagement first. A resource like Engaged Boards Will Fundraise from Loomerang.
Right. It's about building a culture of philanthropy, not just holding a fundraising event. It covers how board members can help without ever having to make a direct ask.
Like making introductions or thanking donors.
Exactly. But this is also a topic where the resources present some really conflicting viewpoints, which I think is incredibly valuable. It forces you to think critically.
I saw that. The big tension point seems to be around giving mandates.
Yes. So on one hand, you have a course from Supporting World Hope that is very direct. 100% personal board giving is a must.
And the logic there is symbolic, right? If you won't invest, why should anyone else?
That's the argument. But then right next to it, you have advice from Asking Matters that supports no minimum gift for board members.
Okay, and their reasoning.
Their point is that if you require a significant gift, you might exclude amazing candidates who have incredible skills but not a lot of personal wealth. You might hurt your diversity.
So you have to weigh symbolic commitment against talent and diversity. That's a really important conversation for a board to have.
It's a vital debate. It shows you need the knowledge to make your own informed choice, not just follow some generic rule.
And of course, there's the other side of the money coin, not just raising it, but overseeing it.
Absolutely. The financial oversight role. Board members don't need to be accountants, but they do need to understand their duties. There's a great resource, #NonprofitQA. Listen to your treasurer.
The title says it all.
It really does. It's about empowering your treasurer and finance committee. And the level of detail gets really impressive. There's even a webinar from GiveButter on how to increase LGBT donors and board members.
Which just shows that the curriculum understands that modern fundraising and recruitment have to be inclusive.
So now let's shift a bit from the external work, like fundraising, to the internal stuff. The operational and legal resources under governance.
This is what determines long-term stability. And it brings up a good question. How can I learn dense legal stuff without, going to law school?
Well, that's where the short-form content shines. Look at the resource on nonprofit bylaws, when, how, and why to revise from Funding for Good.
How long is that one?
3 minutes.
Wow, 3 minutes for bylaws.
Because the key insight isn't the law itself, it's knowing the triggers. The lesson quickly tells you when you need to look at them, like a mission shift or a change in board size. It helps you spot risk fast.
Okay, that makes sense. Then you get into actual strategy. Governance is supposed to be strategic, not just admin.
Right, so there are resources on strategic planning for board members to help shift their focus from the weeds to the long-term future.
And a strategy is useless if the meetings are terrible. I saw a course, 4 tips for more engaging board meetings for your startup nonprofit.
Another quick practical one. It gives you immediate behavioral changes you can make. Clear agendas, follow-up, things that sound simple but make a huge difference.
So what about when you need to make a really big decision?
For those high-stakes moments, there's a course called 5 Easy Steps to Get Boards to Say Yes About Your Big Issues. It's basically a framework for building consensus. Because let's be honest, board politics are a real skill.
Yeah, they are. And I even saw some really unique topics like media ethics and governance.
In this day and age, so important. It's about protecting the organization's reputation. And there are also lessons on soft skills, like being a connected leader, which stresses that good governance requires real emotional intelligence.
So we've covered everything from a 3-minute tip to an hour-long webinar. But what if someone listening wants the whole package? A structured path from A to Z.
For that, there is a clear recommendation. The Nonprofit Skills Board Fundamentals Certificate.
Okay, so that's the comprehensive path.
It's the definitive path. It's self-paced, and it's designed to provide the critical knowledge and skills you need to really master serving on a board. It takes you from compliance to confidence.
That sounds incredibly thorough. So what does it actually cover? What are the big takeaways?
The whole thing is built around 7 essential pillars. First, Legal obligations, understanding your duties. Then financial management, so reading an 990, monitoring stability, and of course, strategic planning.
Connecting the mission to actual measurable outcomes.
Exactly. Then the next set of pillars are more external. You get public communication, how to be a good ambassador. You get fundraising, moving beyond that fear we talked about, and leadership oversight.
Which is about fairly and effectively evaluating your executive director.
And the final piece is measuring progress. This is the ultimate goal, right? Moving beyond just tracking what you do to actually proving your impact.
So you really walk away with a complete understanding of how to be a strategic asset to the organization.
That is the goal, a complete transformation.
You know, this whole deep dive really shows the incredible scope of resources that are out there. People on nonprofit boards come from all walks of life, but what they share is that commitment to the mission.
And this training is what ensures that commitment is backed up by real competence.
In all the crucial areas, from financial health to strategic choices.
Right. And with training like this that's so targeted and easy to access, the key isn't just learning it, it's applying it. You can move from just reacting to problems to actually proactively shaping your organization's future.
From the very first recruitment conversation to the final review of the audit. So here's a final thought for you to take away. The source material talks about all of this as developing philanthropic skills. If training is a top priority for you right now, what's the one specific area? Is it getting your bylaws clear? Is it fundraising strategy? Is it diversifying recruitment? What's the one thing you'll focus on first to maximize your immediate philanthropic impact? Think about your biggest pain point. What's the one thing that, if you solved it, would unlock the most potential?
And just remember, all of these resources, the videos, the certificate programs, and so much more guidance on working with your nonprofit board are all waiting for you right now.
Go to nonprofitboardcourses.com and start your learning today.